Final hour overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Bryan Hayes, the dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. We've got Eddie Olczyk coming up. Just a moment. We got Steve Phillips later in the hour, and I just saw Doogie send a note that Michael Block is going to be back at the PGA Championship this year.
Block party. Wow.
The Block
Did he win
party.
the PGA, like the PGA Tour Pro?
Yeah, I believe so, because he was leading.
Club
I knew
professionals.
that. Yeah, I knew he was leading. He shot like 7 under or something the first round. But, yeah, the Block party. Oakmont, that's, man, 250 off the tee is not going to cut it at Oakmont.
Dude,
But-
I played there before, man. Some of the most insane comments from a caddy I've ever heard in my life. Like, back pin, and he was like, if you spin this too much, you're going to have 175 yards in, like, down the fairway. If
Right.
you spin it too. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, go ahead. Do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just crazy stuff going on, man.
Like false
Crazy.
fronts and stuff you're saying.
Oh,
and-
yeah, like just a really cool place, because after I played it, I think Dustin Johnson went there and won a couple years later. And to see the layout of the course, really cool spot, Oakmont.
Yeah, well, it's coming up in a couple of weeks, and got the RBC Canadian Open coming up in like a month, right?
Yeah.
Right around the
Wow,
corner,
yeah.
man. Yeah, I'm seeing videos of TPC Toronto. It looks great. They're setting up. McElroy's going to be up there, and, you know, all the Canadians, Nick Taylor, all the boys are going to be up there. It's going to be a great scene.
Are we
Yeah,
going to
you guys should have seen.
As far as I know, that's a good question, Noodles. I don't really know. I think
You
so.
guys-
Why wouldn't we be?
You guys should have seen today the stop and chats. I go into earbud guy at the gym, which is almost what I thought would be like a no-fly zone for chat, right? Because
Yeah.
you just do the kind of point where it's like, and it was rampant today. What happened last night? I even got one mid-squat, and it was like, sorry, and I was like, can I help you? And he goes, you think Brady Kachuk's a good captain? And I just went, yes.
That's an interesting
man.
comment.
Oh, it
People-
is,
at the
man.
gym in
I
the
know.
morning.
But
People
I'll tell
wanna,
you what.
Yeah, go ahead.
People are fired up. Like, they're fascinated to watch what goes down tomorrow night.
Oh, it's something,
Fascinating.
man. It's something. These Leafies, like, there's nothing like it, Noodles. Nothing.
I came out of the post office. I dropped my kids off this morning and came out of the post office and was walking across the street. So, you know, traffic holds, like, they wave you through. And 2 guys in a van were like, rolled it down, stopped traffic. Like, what do you make, Noodles?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, they're up 3-2. Like, and like they wanted, it was more than a stop and chat. I'm like, I got to let traffic through here. Like, you guys go. But
no, I had the same. We all have the same experience. Like,
I'd rather someone just tell me what they think. Like, don't stop everything to say, hey, what do you think? I want you to just say to me flat out, like my buddy stopped today walking his dog in front of that. I just want you to say, I think they blow this thing. Or I feel fine. They're going to win on Thursday. Don't just come with the heat. That's what you got to do.
Doesn't it seem impossible to envision them winning in Game 7, the Leafs?
I told you, tomorrow is Game 7.
It
Sorry.
feels like tomorrow's Game 7.
It is. I'm not being stupid.
I know. I understand that. But it does seem impossible to picture the Leafs losing tomorrow and getting to Game 7 and finding a way to muster up a win. Obviously, it could happen.
It's so difficult for them to get any kind of mojo if they're stymied and stifled and they can't get one by Allmark and they can't get anything cooking to, like, get back from that and
But it
dial
just
it in
depends.
for Game 7. I don't know. It feels like tomorrow is Game 7. I really believe that.
The only way I would say it's different is we don't know the context of the game. Like, if it's another slow game, like, you know what the chances were yesterday? 7-7.
Mm-hmm.
7 high danger chances for both sides. Like, it was a very low event game. And, you know, yes, Ottawa scores on 2 of those, and then 2 empty netters add into it. But, it, you know, at the end of the day, if it ends up being an overtime game that it's a bad bounce, like, I could still see, you know, a pathway. Like, the point being is, put it this way, on this show all year, people are like this. It's been different. It's different this year. Just looks different, sounds different. And then the minute there's adversity, it's like now they're not different. They're not different, right?
Oh man, that's the beauty of it. Is that the Leafs could win tomorrow if they dominate tomorrow. Leaf fans are gonna be like, I love them against Florida. Yeah. They stack up so well. This is their year. It flips on a dime. That's the beauty of being a fan. It's sickening. It's sick behavior, but we all do it. That's why we love sports. That's why it's the best. Right? And this weekend, man, if the Leafs lose tomorrow night, that means Game 7 will be Saturday night. The Kentucky Derby will be basically the pregame right into Game 7.
Yes.
Like, they'll be coming out of the blocks at what, like 6 o'clock, 6:15? And I guess journalism's the pony that everyone's buzzing about right now. And journalism could launch into a triple crown, or at least the beginning of one, with a big, big victory on Saturday, right into Game 7. And there may not be the only Game 7. We could have multiple Game 7s on Saturday. And a man that I'm sure is prepared for both, in fact, I know he is of course former Leaf. You see him on the NHL on TNT. I'm sure you'll see him this week down at Churchill Downs. Here's our main man, Eddie Olczyk. How we doing, Eddie?
What's up, boys? Well, to be exact, 6:57 Eastern time is post break for the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. So you talk about a appetizer for a possible Game 7 on Saturday night, which I don't know if it's going to get to Game 7, if you want my opinion. But anyways, if it is, then you know what? You don't have to get off your couch for about 7 hours on Saturday, and then hopefully make a little bit of money, and everybody goes home happy, depending on who they're watching in the Game 7 in Toronto.
Eddie, what makes you think you don't believe there will be a Game 7 needed to be played?
Yeah, you know what? I just feel like any time that the Leafs this year in particular have, kind of gone sideways or haven't played well, they seem to be able to bounce back. And again, look, I'm not watching, just full disclosure, I'm not able to watch every game, every shift, and there may be people that disagree with that. But I just think it is a different team. I think the way they played this year, some of the games that they played, how they won the games, and I know they were up 3-0 in this series, and here we are going to a Game 6. I understand all that. But I just feel, old dog, I just feel from what I've seen here recently over the course of this season, and that's all you could do because obviously you have a new bench boss. I think they have played better collectively and team-wise, and they look confident when they are playing a lower scoring game. Or just from the, Jamie was talking about, a low event type of game last night. I was trying to keep my eye on a couple of games because I might have a Game 7 assignment on Sunday night. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in some other games. So I didn't see every shift, but I just feel that. Now, watching most of the game last night, Ottawa just looked like they were the faster team, the quicker team. And I know that, the chances, weren't there a lot, but they just looked like they were quicker to pucks in all three zones for the majority of the time that I watched, and they found themselves an opportunity, and they were able to cash in, and they're going home for a Game 6. So I expect the Leafs to put their best foot forward in Game 6 and, see how it all plays out. But I just think it feels different. It looks different. Knowing Craig Berube like I do, I just kind of get that sense. Now, whether or not that happens, only time will tell.
So, Eddie, that's where I was going to go with. We've talked about the Leafs. What have you liked about Ottawa? What have you seen from Ottawa? Maybe that's a little bit different than what you expected.
I just think that they're maturing. Noodles right before everybody's eyes. I think that they have some highly skilled players. Their defense are very mobile. They can skate themselves out of trouble, which is such an important part with the game, the way that it is played today. I mean, we know that they're physical. I mean, Greg's got to, there's no other way. He just got to smarten up. I mean, you can't be making, wearing up the penalty box with some of the things that have happened so far in the series. Discipline, I guess you'd be concerned about, but you love the battle, you love the battle level, but I mean, I think there's so many things that make Noodles. I mean, you know them better than anybody. I mean, like that to me is a team that is on the come, and we'll see how it all impressed with their season and how they played so far in this in this first round.
With Eddie Olczyk, so using the pucks and pony analogies as much as I can, the old saying, you can
Sure.
drag a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink it. I think I butchered that, but it's something along there. In terms of the big boys in Toronto, the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, the stats, you're aware of them, Eddie. They're 1-13 in elimination games since 2018. They're 0 for 30 on the power play in those games. Austin Matthews has 2 goals in his last 15 playoff games. What is it? Like, what do you see from these guys in the biggest moments where they have a chance to change the reputation that they just simply have not been able to do it? They don't seize the moment. Why is that? What do you see out of these guys?
Because it is so flippin' hard to win in the greatest league in the world. And it just happens. I mean, look, you guys could all go over hockey players or any other sports about, he can't win, their teams can't win. I mean, look, the most recent, again, the first one that pops into mind is Ovi. Like everybody said, Capitals will never win, they'll never win, they'll never win. The guy evolved in his game, much more less physical, much more selective in the last 7 or 8 years. Conserving his energy for what he does best. He stays away from injury. I'm just painting a picture. It takes time. Sometimes you got to evolve as a player, as a team, as an individual, and things happen. But it's going to happen at some point. I mean, I believe that. I mean, those guys that you mentioned, Brian, I mean, they're too good of players. Now, whether or not they're doing it all together or not, I mean, that's okay. I could argue with that too. But I just think it happens. I think they're too good of players not to be able to show up at the biggest time and to make a play. And look at it; it's just hockey. It's just the way that it is, and it's the ultimate team game. And I know what the numbers are, and you can't skate from it. You can't hide from it. So I just think that at some point it's going to happen. And I think for obviously Leaf fans and within that room in the organization is that, they're hoping for a monster game from one or two or all three of those guys. And, maybe somebody else pitches. I mean, how good, again, you guys tell me, I probably saw 7 shifts of the fourth line for the Leafs last night. And I was like, and I'll be honest with you, when I saw some of those shifts, I went, get those guys out there.
Yeah.
Get them out. You know what I mean? Like, ride them. Like, ride that horse. There's another Pucks and Ponies analogy there, Brian, right? I mean, ride him to the finish line. And, look at, people may get upset or whatever, but, I think that Craig Berube played those guys probably a little more than he probably anticipated, but those guys had it going, and that's okay, right? Like, that's okay. So maybe if you give those guys a little bit of a breather somewhere and they, and they get a little bit of a blow, and then all of a sudden they have a little bit more energy and they get away from a matchup and they have a big shift and they draw a penalty. Now, the one thing with the power play I will say is, look, like I think anytime, and Old Dog, you know this because you were a tremendous goal scorer. I used to watch you when I was a little kid, growing up and trying to be like an Old Dog, even though you shot the wrong way, but that's for another story. You gotta simplify. Like, you can't try to pass east-west. You can't try to go west-east. It's got to be downhill. It's got to be, and then even if they block a shot or two, whatever, if they think you're going to go there, then you have to ad lib. I mean, it's the one thing that I can't think as a broadcaster now for too many years. But on the power play, it seems like that in Noodles you call games. So I think you know what I'm saying is that when the schematics of a power play come out and you know what the strength of their power play is, but teams take away those options. You got to be able, as a power play guy, that's why you're making the big money. You got to be able to ad lib. You got to be able to say, okay, if they're taking away the half wall or they're taking away the middle of the ice with the point shot, you got to get the puck and you got to get it down to the goal line in old-fashioned meat and potatoes. Say, you know what, I'm going to go to Matthew Nyes on the goal line, and you're not going to look to pass. You're going to take the puck right to the blue paint. I don't care what happens with it. It's going there. So everybody's got to go there. Like, I don't see, and I'm not just talking Leafs here. I'm just talking in general a lot of power plays in the National Hockey League. It's like, this is what we do best. And if they stop us, okay, we'll tip our hockey helmet to them, and then we're going to wait for the next power play. That can't happen 25, 30 power. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to go and ad lib and say, that's not open. The perfect example. I did 2 of the first 5 games in the mini Vegas. I'm sorry, 1 of the 5 games to the mini Vegas series. In Game 3, Vegas went half wall to the point, shot, missed the net. They kept going to that. And I just was like, okay, I got a little emotional. I'm like, look, you got to go from the goal line out here. Like, you got to change it up every once in a while. So what that does is it draws the penalty killers down. And then, dog, you know this. Then all of a sudden, then the half wall is open. Then you can maybe pass through the box, or if they're killing like a diamond formation. So I just think that they got to do what's natural. Don't worry about what the game plan is. Those guys are good enough. 5 forwards, 5 defensemen, 3 and 2, 4 and 1, whatever it is. Take what the other power plays give it. Yeah, you want to go to your strength right off the bat, great. But if it ain't working, you gotta do something different. And if I'm going to go down on a power play, instead of continuing to just go the same way all the time, you got to change it up. And look, some of that is coaching, 100%. But I always blame whatever is, or I should say blame the end result. I always put it to skates of the players, because those are the guys out there driving the bus when you do have a man advantage.
Yep. It's not the jockey, man. It's got to be the horse, Eddie. I mean, that's the reality.
Come on with these horse comments. Holy Christ.
I got to be careful how I say this.
Yeah.
With OverDrive, I mean, we know who the thoroughbreds are, and we know who's riding those thoroughbreds, Brian. You know what I mean?
That's right, Kyle. You know it. With Eddie Olczyk. So in the West, Dallas is up 3-2 on Colorado. Vegas up 3-2 on Minnesota. Edmonton up 3-2 on LA. Of those 3 in the lead, which one do you think is most comfortable? Like, who are you looking into the future saying, okay, Edmonton, Vegas, Dallas, that's the team that's in the lead. That's the team I know that's going to the second round.
I'm gonna say Vegas.
Okay.
I just think with their experience, the back end, their big boys are heating up. Jack Eichel's played 2 really, really good games. And again, look, another adjustment, right? Bruce Cassidy, he finally broke up Eichel and Stone for the first couple of games of the series. Wasn't going well. It just wasn't. All of a sudden, a little bit of a tweak in the middle of Game 4. All of a sudden now those, Eichel, look at Eichel's the key. I mean, he's an awesome 200-foot player, obviously, just like Austin Matthews. So I just would think that, if I'm looking at that series in Minnesota, man, I mean, they've done a hell of a job in the series, and we know how great Kaprizov is and the type of team and the style that they play. I just feel out of those 3 series, because look at I can't believe that Edmonton's got a 3-2 lead in that series. I can't. I really can't. When I saw what happened in that series, especially when it went to Edmonton, and then the Colorado-Dallas series, I did 2 of the 5 games in that one, and after Game 1, I thought, well, geez, this might be over in 3 games. This series. I mean, it wasn't even close in Game 1, and they're doing this. Dallas is doing this without Robertson and Heiskanen, and who knows if Heiskanen is going to come up and play in this Game 6. But I would. I would lean more towards Vegas than those other 2 series, because I could easily see LA going to Edmonton and winning and forcing a Game 7. And we all know about Colorado with Makar and McKinnon. Mm-hmm. They can certainly do that. And Dallas, look, both those teams, obviously they want to eliminate those extra games, but especially in the series, because those are pretty damn competitive series.
With Eddie Olczyk. All right, Eddie, one of my favorite, moments of the year on this program is when we get to the Derby and we start to lay down some bets, or at least take a look at certain ponies that we like walking into a Triple Crown. This is the big one. It's the big party, obviously, down in Kentucky. Journalism appears to be the favorite. I think they're 3-1, Doogie, I believe so. And they've won a lot. That horse won a lot coming down the stretch here. Are we all in on journalism? Do we like other ponies? Set the scene here for us.
Yes. There are other ponies that I like. It's going to be hard to beat journalism. He will be my pick. Hoping for 3-1. which is not a bad investment. You know, if you bet O-Dog's money, if you bet 2,000 to win, you might get back 8,000. So that's a pretty good return on investment in about 2 minutes and maybe less than 2 seconds. So I just think I believe Bryan is that he just journalism that is just breathes different air. It's almost the aspect of all these other horses when they're running that he's faced. And again, look, this is the stiffest competition. He's got a great post position, number 8. Is that the other horses take 1 step, journalism has the step, he takes 2 steps. You know what I mean? Like he just has that incredible ability to gobble up ground. He had some adversity in his last race out in California. It was only a 5-horse field. Now he's going to have to go up against 19 opponents, which, you know, look at 19 opponents, Churchill Downs, 165,000 people, going 1.25 miles, which a lot of these horses, quite frankly, might never run again. So there are a lot of question marks, but I do believe he should be the favorite. He will be the favorite. But I think if you could get anything, you know, if you could get 2.5 to 1 or 7 to 2 or the 3 to 1 morning line, I think that you should. I look at that's where my money's going to go. I've got future wagers on this horse at around 12 to 1. So I'm wow. If I could use a line from the late great, my former partner, the great Mike Lang, the voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm smiling like a butcher's dog right now with those future tickets on journalism.
Wow.
Another horse I'm going to use.
Yep.
Let me say this.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of pace in this race. I think there's going to be. It's going to be for the horses I like. I like number 14, Tis-tastic. That's with a T.
Yes.
Tis-tastic. And I also like number 17, the Sandman. Sandman, number 17. And I have to say this because I have to. Now, there's 20 horses scheduled to run right now. But in between now and Friday morning at 10 a.m. scratch time, there's an also eligible horse that will come out. It will be saddlecloth at betting number 21. The name of the horse is Baeza. If Baeza happens to draw in to the field of the Kentucky Derby, I believe Baeza has a chance to be one of the top 3 or 4 betting favorites in the running of the Kentucky Derby on Saturday night. So you have to use the 21. If he doesn't run, obviously you don't have to worry about it, but I would keep that number handy. So my numbers are 8, 14, 17, and a highlighted number 21 if he draws into the field of the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby.
I love it. Lock it in, man. You're just never going to get better info than that. Like, I love that, Eddie, you're getting a future on a pony back in the day. Like, that is outstanding.
Hey, I also, now, Bryan, you tell me this because you're the basketball guru there. At least I think you are.
Yes.
I got a future at about 12.5 to 1 on a Celtics Thunder final.
Oh, I love it.
You like it?
All day.
I love it. I adore that.
So don't cash out is what you're saying.
I'm saying just that. Yes, I think, you're going to get Tatum healthy. Celtics are going to be fine. I'm not buying Cleveland. I'm not buying the Pacers, Knicks, or Pistons. I love Boston in the East. And I think I like Oklahoma City. I mean, I think you look at what they've done in the first round, man. I mean, I really like that bet. I like that future. You're onto something, man.
All right.
Okay, pal.
Well, we'll try to. We'll try to get back even over the last couple of weeks.
Yes, that's the beauty of the chase, man. We'll get there. We always do. We always make it, and it's all good. Enjoy the playoffs as always. We'll do it again soon. I know it's a busy time. We always love having you on, and say hi to everyone down there in Kentucky for us.
It's always great to be on with you guys. Thanks a lot. Keep up the great work, and I'll look forward to talking to you real soon here.
You got it. There's Eddie Olczyk, Pucks and Ponies.
Oh, dude, I was throwing out some terms that they were your favorite things that's ever been said on the show.
Easily my favorite segment every year.
When he
Pucks
said,
and Ponies.
This horse breathes different air, you almost fell off your chair.
I did.
With happiness.
I was so happy. And then he's talking about the steps.
That guy just said a horse is breathing different air. Your ears perked up. You were the horniest I've ever seen you get. Like,
do you know how much insight you have to be and have to put a future bet on a horse?
Dude.
Like that,
dude, you're crawling around farms like at 4 a.m.
You are in haystacks, literally taking notes camouflage saying, I got to
Yes.
get in on that guy at 12-1. That pony looks like he breathes different air. He's got a horse that's not even in the race.
Yeah,
Like,
he's like, if this guy gets in the race, watch out. It's like a guy coming up from the minors. That's Pavel Bure.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
This horse, the 21 horse, is a number one prospect that has a real chance of making an impact on the Kentucky Derby. I love Eddie Olczyk. I told you he'd have a future. I told you he'd reference something. He's got Celtics Thunder in the final. What did he say, 12.5-1? That's a great bet.
What were his
by
numbers
Eddie.
on the horses? 8,
So he's got-
14, 17, and 21?
Yes. And 8 is journalism, which he generally doesn't like really pump the tires of the chalk like the true favorite, but I guess he loves this. He loves this horse.
Breathes different air.
Breathes different air. Man.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Like
you
a-
take one
JP,
step, this
you
guy
clip
takes two.
that, and whenever we talk about a great performance, you just play, he breathes different air.
I would love that, man. If someone just turned on the show and heard that, they'd be like, who's he talking about? McDavid? Draisaitl?
Yeah.
No, a horse.
Journalism, the horse.
Crazy.
I love it.
I love it, though.
It's the best. The
he's
Derby's
so
the best.
passionate.
Oh, he's
like
the
he's
best.
talking about, like, Vegas I can see,
Maybe
Edmonton,
Vegas,
whatever.
Colorado's pretty good. All right, who do you like at the Derby? Well, let me tell you something. And
This guy breathes different air, and he chews up ground. That's another one he tossed
I
out.
love it,
Chews
man.
up ground,
Even
2
the
steps to
posting
1.
time, like 10 a.m. on Friday, who knows that?
Well, how
but
about
Eddie
he
Olczyk.
goes, he'll run it in about 2 minutes, maybe about 2 seconds. Like he had it like right on.
I love
like,
it, man. Pucks and
is-
Ponies with Eddie O, the greatest segment we do every single year.
Ever. It's the best.
All right. Steve Phillips coming up. The Jays, man, they could use some ponies too. How about the $500 million pony shows up here? And I see he had a home run last night. But come on, Vladdy. Get things cooking here, man. This offense has got to get going.
I'm
They
telling
got
you,
an
it's
opener
early.
tonight.
I'm concerned about it. Like,
I understand, and you should be. Listen, they've been terrible recently. Like they're not a juggernaut team. They're not a good enough team to have a run like this and not have people doubt who you are and what you're all about. Like, that's the truth. I get it's still April technically, but come on, guys. And you got the Red Sox in town, game 2 tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, best bets later in the hour. Cannot wait for the Kentucky Derby now, man. Eddie Olczyk just
fires
put me in the
you
mood.
up.
Yeah, he really fires you up, dude. It's just you just cannot wait to see these ponies run, and we'll continue to track that as we move forward. And it's amazing what's going on between the Leafs and the Jays. Like they're trying to outcompete each other with more stats that make you just shake your head. You know, we've referenced the Leafs today, 1-13 in closeout games. They're 0-30 on the power play. 0-30 on the power play in those 14 games. Doogie just sent this stat. The Jays have gone 30 consecutive games without a first-inning home run. So it's like a hold my beer. You know what I mean? Like the Jays have now gone 11 games without scoring more than 4 runs. It's, you know, they've lost 8 of 9, and the one they won, they had a somewhat of a miracle rally in the 9th at Yankee Stadium. They could be in the midst of a 9-game losing streak, plummeting down the standings. Their bats are asleep. Bowden Francis got torched last night, and now you got a bullpen game tonight. Because Scherzer, who knows when this guy's going to pitch?
Yeah, that's concerning.
It's not good, man. It's not good. Here's Steve Phillips, our TSN baseball insider. Spin this positively for us. We need some positivity up here in Toronto, Steve. What can you tell us about this Blue Jays recent run that would suggest it's an outlier and everything's going to be all good?
Well, look, sooner or later the Leafs have to win a closeout game. And sooner or later they've got to score in a power play. My gosh, don't they?
Yeah, you would think.
Maybe not.
You would think so.
You would think.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, Bichette's going to hit a home run. You think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I wish there was a better way to spin it, but you know, they played pretty decent baseball for a little while, and now the offense is just the pitching's not there. They're trying to be perfect. And by trying to be perfect, it makes you more imperfect. It makes you find the heart of the plate because you fall behind, nibbling off the corners, and then you lay one in there and they hit it out of the ballpark. And, 5 home runs yesterday to the Red Sox. And Red Sox are a really good offensive team. You better bring your A-game pitching against them. Now, maybe tonight you got Lucas Giolito making his first start back, coming back from Tommy John surgery, then coming back from injuries in spring training. And so, maybe there's a way to jump on a guy like the Yankees jumped all over Kyle Gibson yesterday down in Baltimore. But, that would mean that the first three hitters would hit home runs, and that would mean Bichette would have to hit his first. So I wish there was a better way to spin it. Hoffman's been good at the end of the game to close them out. There just haven't been any saves to get these days, and so the pitching looked like it took a step backwards. The offense is struggling, and it's not a great sign because the Yankees and Red Sox aren't going to wait around for anybody, and they're not going to feel sorry for anybody. Now, I saw Scherzer through a bullpen. He's working his way back, but again, I think right now that's icing on the cake. Whatever you get is on top of everything. It's not, you can't count on it. And so they're going to need the guys that are there to do it. And somehow Vladdy's got to put the team on his shoulders and start to really carry them.
Steve, that's the optimistic, I guess you would say, spin on this. I just don't see it. I mean, are we not going into year 3 of an abysmal offense where we're looking at it and just saying they can't hit? Like, for anybody to think that these guys are going to turn it around offensively, I'm sorry. Like, when is the time limit on saying the offense is going to come? We had Ross on right after Vladdy signed, and he said, I'm really excited about this offense. It's about to pop. That was 10 games ago. Like, when does someone just look at this and say, sorry, this doesn't work?
Yeah, I think we're there. It's the same story over and over again. I know that you guys have me on and you probably get sick of hearing the same. You ask the same questions, they give you the same answer every time.
Well, Steve, the one thing about it is it's not even like entertaining. Like, if you're watching these guys travel around the division and they don't even, like, they can't hit, they don't even compete. You don't even say, I can't wait to come back and watch them launch homers or run or whatever. It's just not an entertaining brand, which is the worst thing of all. You can't even entertain people.
Yeah, and to your point. So yesterday, the Cubs reached a point where they have 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. The Cubs do so far this year. 42 home runs and 44 stolen bases. They're the quickest team to ever get to that. And that power and speed dynamic makes it a fun, interesting, exciting, really fun game to be able to watch and play. The Blue Jays have 16 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Not even half the home runs and fewer than half the stolen bases in the same amount of time. And so you think about how much less action that is, how much less movement that is. And the Cubs have 60 doubles. The Blue Jays have 51. And so it's not like they're just not hitting home runs in their doubles. They're not really hitting that many doubles either. We're talking about the second fewest home runs. The second lowest OPS. And so there's no pitching good enough to be able to overcome that little offense as you can get. And so, I think that something's going to have to change and guys are going to have to get hot and stay hot. Bichette's going to have to start hitting for power. And Santander is better than what he's doing. And, even if he gets to who he is, which is a lower on base percentage guy, he'll be like a 310 on base percentage, but you hope he slugs 540, which is going to make him a really functional player and hitting home runs and driving in runs. And they've got this malaise that has sort of been contagious that everybody has. And they don't even have any guys that are really excelling. Springer did early, but he's not hitting home runs either. But he's getting some hits, and I like the energy with which he's playing. But Varsho is going to bring, circus catches, but he's not going to bring offensive production. The idea of the offense is going to pop. The only way it pops is if the first 4 guys in the lineup really deliver, and you think really the first 3, which means that if you think about a third of your lineup is what you can count on, then that gives you 3 innings a game where you have a chance to score, right? A third of your lineup, a third of the game. And that's not giving yourself a lot of chances to try to do it. Then you're hoping a Kirk runs into one. You're hoping that Rodin hits one. You're hoping that Varsho can get on and steal a base and do something. So, I don't, the reality is you can change hitting coaches, and they did. But if it's the same hitters and you've changed coaches and it's the same answer for 3 years, then maybe you need to change the hitters.
Well, and that's the thing. Now that you got Varsho back, I mean, they're committed to Bichette leading off. I'm curious where you stand on that because, Springer's hitting cleanup tonight. They had Jimenez hitting cleanup for a while. They finally got off it because they had to. I mean, Jimenez looks like he did in Cleveland the last couple of years. You got Varsho hitting fifth and Alejandro Kirk's killing them at the plate, like just killing them at the plate. But are you just committed to Bichette leading off, Steve? Does that appear to be the way Schneider's going to approach it or what?
I think so. He hits his on-base percentage, but he does get his hits,
Yep.
You can put Springer back up there, but having Springer down below where maybe he can drive in some runs and hit a home run, at least gives you a chance to put a crooked number up on the scoreboard with Bichette on base in front of him because, you can bat Bichette down there, but, man on first, if it's Vladdy, he hits a double. Vladdy might not score on the double because he's not hitting it out of the ballpark. And so, yeah, I think they're probably locked in on Bichette. It's just, they've got to find a way to unleash a Santander because if they can get him going, then it at least changes the dynamic for Vladdy a little bit. And then Springer's got some traffic on the bases in front of him. And then, then maybe you can get some traffic for the guys behind him to where the pitcher has to throw it over the plate. Because right now when nobody's on, pitchers can start the ball in the zone, break it out of the zone, and the Jays hitters chase. They don't have the sort of team discipline to lay off of that pitch. And so, the only answer is to start getting men on base and then have somebody run into one. And even if it's only Santander that starts to get the power going, that would at least feel better than what it does right now.
Yeah, his numbers are staggering, man. And I get it. He always has a bad April. He doesn't have a great September. It's generally waits for the warm weather, and I'm sure that's coming. But in terms of first impression on a market, it's been dreadful, really, for Santander. And, we mentioned the starters. I don't know if you've ever seen someone throw 53 pitches in an inning the way Gausman did the other day. And then Francis last night gives up 5 home runs. And I look at Schneider and I'm like, I don't know how he's supposed to get away from this because Gausman was pitching, it was going to be a doubleheader and you knew the bullpen was going to be taxed. You're playing a lot of games here. You mentioned Hoffman's been great. Beyond that, they're still trying to figure out exactly how everything's going to play out. But that feels like deja vu. That last year Gausman was speaking out, Bassett was speaking out. I'm curious how far you think we are away from their starters saying, man, I don't know what we're supposed to do here.
Yeah, it's a tough situation because you don't ever want to point fingers at a team. And, if you're not getting run production, the guys go out there trying to be perfect, and it makes you more imperfect. It just, you think I'm going to nibble the corners. Oh, it's ball one. And then you come in, okay, then I'm going to work off the plate, and the guy doesn't chase. Next thing you know, you're 3-1, you got thrown over the plate. And then because you feel like I've got to be perfect because we're not scoring anything. So I've got to get strikeouts. I've got to try to miss bats. I can't let them put it in play. And it becomes this compounding problem. So, listen, you can't leave a pitcher in for 53 pitches in an inning. I think that's such a setup for an injury. It's one thing to throw, 100 pitches in a game. When over 6 innings where you're throwing, you're sitting down, your arm's recovering, you're throwing 53 pitches without any recovery time with a pitch timer. It is such a setup for an injury. And fortunately, it doesn't seem like he got hurt, but it is a real setup. And I know that they felt like it got away from them. They had 9 pitch at bats they didn't anticipate. It went from 35 to 44 to 53 pitches and 2 at bats, and next thing you know, he's up over 50. But that's really risky. And I would have had a conversation with my manager if that happened. We can't afford to leave people out there for 50 pitches. Mm-hmm. Somebody else, I saw another young player out there for 39 pitches, and I'm like, what are we doing? And finally they took him out. And Will Warren, I think it was, threw 39 pitches, and they cut him out of the game. Like, we can't do this to our kids. So, I didn't like it, but you've got to protect them.
Steve, where would your mindset be if you assembled this squad? I mean, Mark and Ross put this together. Like, where do you think their headspace is watching this? Is it just like, well, they're going to get us sooner or later? Or I don't know. They can't be optimistic or happy watching this. Like, I wonder where they're at. Where would you be at?
I got there. I was in this place where, it wasn't playing out the way, I sort of hoped it might. even though I went in with some doubts about guys, I thought, well, geez, if everything goes right, it'll go our way. And, it just doesn't always go right, and the more questions you have coming in, some of them work out, some of them don't, and some of them just are neutral, but then other questions pop up with guys. That's not even the ones you were worried about. And so I've been down that road and wasn't shortly thereafter got fired. And you can hope, you can keep trying to pray, you keep trying to spin, you keep trying to be optimistic, you keep trying to say, we're about to pop, it's about to happen, we know we're close. And in some ways, you're convincing yourself. Because what are you going to say? Nope, you're right. We suck. You're right. You know what? We're not going to turn it around. You're not going to do that. So you continue to preach optimism, and you talk to the players, you pat them on the back, tell the managers there, you support everybody. It's all you can do as a general manager, but when you're in some trouble, and they have to feel it right now that it's slipping away a little bit. It's a horrible feeling, and then the clamoring starts getting louder. I mean, for me, I remember going to my owner somebody wrote at one point, Mets fans want Phillips' head on a pike on the Triborough Bridge. One of the writers wrote that.
Wow.
And here's the thing. I actually at the time had a restraining order from a fan who was making threats. I had another guy calling, leaving me messages that were threatening. I had another guy call and say that if he saw me on the road, he'd run me off the road and hope that me and my family died a slow, painful death. I had another psychiatrist call up and say that the patient was a threat to my life. They made threats against me. So this guy wrote, Mets fans want Phillips' head on a pike on the Triborough Bridge. And I knew we were struggling. I knew that my days were numbered. But then it starts getting ugly, right? And then it starts getting personal. And then, so I at one point went to ownership and I said, listen, I understand where things are and where you are. And, I just want you to know, I get it. And so, he goes, no, we'll give it a little more time, see if we can't get things to turn. But he acknowledged that, the reality was that if things didn't turn, I was out. And I knew the reality was that if things didn't turn, I was out. When you're in these positions, you hold on to hope, but you also are realistic. And when things are going poorly, the snowball's rolling down the mountain, turning into an avalanche, that it's going to take a Herculean effort of some sort to turn it around. That becomes a very remote possibility. And so I'm sure they're feeling that right now in the Jays front office right now.
Yeah. Well, and you got a bullpen opener tonight trying to get you over the top against this Boston Red Sox juggernaut offense. So we'll see what comes of it. They need one tonight, that is for sure. Always appreciate it, Steve. Thank you for doing this. We'll do it again soon.
You got it, guys. My pleasure. Anytime.
Steve Phillips, our TSN Baseball Insider.
Well, it kind of leads down another road where it's like you kind of know what's there.
Yeah.
Why did you have to hand over 700 million Canadian to a guy? Why was that necessary?
Pressure to keep it together. Plus, he's, I don't know.
Yeah, listen, he's a lot of pressure on Vladdy. There should be. He's got to be better. Yeah. But I think, clearly.
I know, but he also could have waited and let the year play out, and then maybe you sign him, maybe you don't. But I don't know what the urgency. I said it from the time he signed it. What was the? Why? Because he said he was going to go sign with the Yankees, and you just had to hand over that money. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think it was the scare tactics of the Yankees and the Red Sox that he'd stay in the division. They'd give him the money. The fact that they missed out in the fashion they did, the Ohtani one really hurt their brand in a way. I think I'm sure they felt self-conscious about that they felt like they were being used, and he wasn't alone. It was
but dude,
more
I'm
than
never
that.
going to be pigeonholed into handing over 700 sheets.
I hear you, but you know what also probably happened? Like what we just talked about is Shapiro and Atkins probably convinced them, no, we're a good team.
Yeah.
We're a really good team. We got Santander here now. We got Jeff Hoffman and
So
Max
you think
Scherzer.
they sat in a boardroom and said we're actually a really good team, and you think a bunch of suits went, oh, okay, yeah,
what do you think?
are.
They think the suits would know? Do you think the suits are sitting there being like, "Wow, Tom, what's your strategy when you're batter 7 through 9 in the order?"
I don't think we live in a world with a bunch of dummies now, where they just shake their heads. Oh, you guys are good now. Okay, cut that check for $700 million.
Do you think he would have signed if they said, "Hey, listen, let's be clear, we're going to be terrible this year"? we're going to be
I don't know.
awful this year. Do you think they would have got that money
Well,
for
ultimately,
Vladdy?
what they're going to be in another month and a half, it looks like they're going to be a terrible team with Vladdy on it,
If
who
this
might also be
continues-
terrible.
Yeah. Listen, if it continues, dude, it's
Yeah, it's
you know,
not good.
Yeah, you got to
They're
stop
getting
it now.
rinsed every night.
They're getting
Maybe
crushed.
there's a
Awful.
pathway out of this, though. Who knows?
Okay.
You know, I would
All
hope
right.
so.
All right, there you go.
Start hitting.
I like that
Start
optimism.
hitting.
I like that optimism. Leafs in
Yeah.
6, and the Jays are chasing 90 wins. Everyone knows
you
it.
go.
Joe from the
There you
bridge.
go.
All right, best bets coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You guys have sold me on the Jets tonight. I think you have. You guys believers in the Jets tonight?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. Jets money line. Gabriel Velarde anytime point tonight. I think it's big getting Velarde back. And Josh Morrissey, 3+ shots on goal. I think Morrissey is a guy. He's got to be an engine for this team. Got to
So
be an
does
engine.
somebody else up front. It's like top line or nothing.
Yeah.
I know we talk about star players, but there's other good players.
That's right. Other guys need to chip in. Listen, the captain's got to have a night too. Adam Lowry's got to play. That line's a great line, but they've got to play. They can't get pushed out of the game. Kyle Connor for sure. All right, those are your best bets. Powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every Stanley Cup playoff game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario. All right, got the Habs looking to survive. You got the Lightning looking to survive tonight.
Yep.
And we got Winnipeg taking on St. Louis. What a night. Jays in action. NBA playoffs continuing. And tomorrow, positive Thursday. Positive Thursday.
Sounds good.
All right.
Looking forward
Good
to
stuff, guys. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate it. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Tomorrow we breathe different air.
Breathe different air.
4 p.m.
it. We'll chat then.